The rumours are true, folks. If you have a YouTube channel and you don't upload a video on the Oblivion Remaster, professional liar Pete Hines will come personally to your house and stab you with a butcher knife. If he denies it, that just means it's true. But don't worry guys, I definitely have some opinions on the Oblivion Remaster. So people are praising the hell out of the game, and I'm not surprised. Oblivion is an amazing game. In fact, it's one of the first games I played on the PS3 where I really thought, wow, this is actually the next gen now. Mainly due to the AI, which then, of course, they got rid of most of that stuff. Things like characters having their own schedules, going to work, going home at night, doing different things depending on the day of the week, and all this led to a world that felt far more alive than most games, even though at times it could be very clunky, yeah. And it felt for me personally like these were the kinds of things that were going to push gaming forward as a medium and that companies should be focusing on. Unfortunately, they didn't, although some companies still promised they would. CD Projekt Red. Companies don't give a shit about these kinds of innovations because it's too hard to do that. It's much easier just to push graphics to an insane degree, where we now need AI upscalers to be doing most of the work, because things just can't be rendered at 4K at the fidelity that people are actually wanting. So let's picture it, you're modern day Bethesda. You think, you get a call actually from Phil Spencer. I can do a Phil Spencer impression, I'm pretty sure. Bethesda, you are, without a doubt, the worst company that I have ever bought. And I would know, I've bought a few.
Since the launch of Xbox One, we've listened to you, the community of Xbox gamers, and we're grateful for your continued feedback.
You're Bethesda, you get that call from Phil Spencer, what do? Well, you can't remake the game yourself. The team just is simply not talented enough to do that. You have a broken engine that's decades old that you insist on still using. People have picked apart the code in this engine and found that you've got random bits, just stuck in there where no talented coder would ever dream, or even just a professional coder of any sort would dream of coding it that way. Yet you've got this code in your engine and it's been stuck there for years and years from the previous 5 games. But Microsoft knows what they're doing, at least a little bit, because props to them, this was the right call from a business perspective. They said, right, we need to release the Oblivion Remaster. If we're ever going to release it, if we're ever going to release an Oblivion Remaster, it has to be 2025. Because what if these bloody fans release an Oblivion remake and it's fantastic, which I'm sure it's going to be? We'll look bad and we'll have missed out on, potentially, half of the sales that we could potentially get. So it's very, very clear to me what happened. Right, we'll outsource to another company. They'll use the skeleton that we've got, pretty much change, not much, maybe make a few tweaks. We're using the same engine because Oblivion is there underneath. It's just that now we've put the Unreal Engine as a renderer on top of it. And of course, as I say again, Bethesda game studios can't do a project like that fast, no matter how difficult or easy it is. So much easier just to get another studio who actually knows what they're doing and get it done as quickly as possible so they can capitalize on this before this fan remake comes out this year. I'll say again, I don't fault Microsoft or Bethesda for doing this. It was genius and they pulled it off fantastically. The reason it was shadow dropped is because that was their plan all along. We need to get this out as soon as we possibly can. Where I draw a line though is I'm not going to praise Bethesda Game Studios specifically for pretty much probably doing nothing at all and letting another company come in and sort of polish up their game, which probably by now very few people that worked on the masterpiece that is Oblivion are now still at Bethesda Game Studios. Of course I'm not going to praise them. You already made the game. It was 20 years ago. make another game, make a good game, because you haven't since Skyrim, and even that's debatable. And yeah, it would be very tempting right now to play Oblivion, to stream it, to make loads of videos on Oblivion. But yeah, I just don't really want to. And I think that from what I've seen of the team making Skyblivion, the fan-made Oblivion remake, I think they've really thought about the flaws of the game and seem to really want to improve on that and make it the game that Oblivion should have been, really. And one of the main areas they seem to be doing this is the dungeon design. Them remaking the dungeons from scratch and making them more sort of coherent and a bit more like how Skyrim's dungeons were, where there was always like sort of a natural path through the dungeon and usually an exit point, which meant you didn't have to backtrack every time. The way Oblivion's dungeons are structured, and apparently they were all designed by sort of random members of the team. They didn't specifically give level designers this job because the tools were so easy to use. You know, we can use these tools as fans with the creation kit that they released to the public. But yeah, the Oblivion dungeons were kind of just like, you go in, be a sort of a maze of maybe corridors and maybe some more open rooms, but there'd never be like a purpose to the dungeon or much storytelling, and unless you were going there for a specific quest, there's not really much point in going in any dungeon in Oblivion because they are all that sort of boring and mainly poorly designed. I think if I was to play the Oblivion Remaster now, especially without mods, even though vanilla Oblivion is still very playable, it would just lessen the impact of when I get to play Skyblivion. So yeah, I'm happy that it's a thing. I think it's cool. I think it looks good. I'm glad people are enjoying it. And I'm glad that Bethesda have finally released a good game after all these years. It's just that that game is Oblivion, basically. I feel similarly about like Ubisoft, where I find it really strange that pretty much everyone is unanimous that Ubisoft is a terrible company, they make terrible games, but people just keep playing them and keep talking about them.
So I think I'm on my 15th playthrough. I'm probably 200 hours in, but not on one playthrough. Because like we change same game formats, blah, 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 all that stuff. So I started in November.
So all this is to say, I probably won't ever play the Oblivion Remaster, as cool as it looks. And even if I did, I certainly wouldn't pay for it. Oh, hey Pete. Yeah, I've done the video. Whoa. I'll upload it. Oh.